My name is Sandip Soli. I'm an attorney with the Real Property Law Group. I'm a hospitality attorney, and one of my duties is to serve on the advisory network for the Washington Restaurant Association and the Washington Lodging Association. One of the most often questions that we get asked is about tip pooling. The law on tip pooling is in flux these days. It was, up until this year, allowable for restaurant owners to mandate tip pooling by their employees, both to the front of the house and back of the house included. Unfortunately, the law and the courts have caught up to the western states to have them comply with the rest of the United States, which prohibited mandatory tip pooling. And so now the state of the law is, until the Supreme Court or another court reverses the most recent decision in March, the state of the law is for employees to voluntarily initiate tip pooling, and it can only be initiated by the employees. Another aspect that could get around the most recent court ruling is to have the guests themselves designate where the tip pooling should go, whether it's the front of the house, back of the house, or both. That's another method that restaurants are employing to get around this ruling. And then the third way, of course, that you've probably heard is service charges. Instead, doing away with tips entirely and actually asking for service charges as you would with a large party, whether it's 18% or 20% or what have you. So that's another method that we're often seeing employees and employers use to get around the tip pooling issues today. Of those three, there's been some successes with service charges, but unfortunately there's some disadvantages with it, primarily with respect to deductions from and credits from taxes that you cannot get with service charges. Service charges go to the restaurant itself, and then the restaurant distributes that as it sees fit. You also have to disclose it on your menu and on the receipts, and so that becomes complicated. Another method that we're seeing less employed, but that could be successful, is actually putting lines in the check itself for the customers and the guests to actually designate where the tips go. We see that as the most equitable and the fairest way to distribute tips to the front of the house, the back of the house, and also for employers to get the advantage of deducting those tips. Technology needs to catch up with that method, unfortunately. I mean, as you can see from some of the credit card receipts that the merchant processing machines pump out, they don't give you that opportunity. But if you can build that into your system, it would work out great. Especially if you're using new technology like Square or something similar to Square, where you can actually plug that into your system.